And welcome everyone to the show. This is Fox Weather Philly. I'm meteorologist Kathy Orr.
Scott Williams here on a troublesome Tuesday. We're watching this potent storm system. Millions are impacted in the Delaware Valley as well as the Deep South, the Great Lakes. So far-reaching impacts with this storm system for us. It started in the Poconos. They picked up a few inches of snow, but now rain everywhere and temperatures are rising. The wind gusts are picking up too.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. We're looking at heavy rain everywhere. Some of our local roads beginning to pond a little bit. But as you take a look at the nation as a whole on ultimate Doppler, I mean, Scott, this is something else. The center of the storm right now is over the western Tennessee Valley. You can see the snow, I mean, through Chicago. They might even have thunder snow there, and on the back side of it through Missouri. But we are on the east side of the storm, and all that rain has to move into the Delaware Valley.
And just look at that shape. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. That classic comma shape. That lets you know that the atmosphere is really getting together, and this storm system is taking shape, and we're talking about the impacts with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, up through Williamsport right now, it is pouring heavy rain coming up the I-95 corridor through Baltimore and Washington. The winds coming in from the ocean out of the south and east, but the storm coming up from the south and the west. So definitely a lot going on here. There's that comma shape you were talking about, Scott, with that area of low pressure. It's going to stay to the west of us and go up through the Great Lakes. So the snow will stay up there to the west. And on the east side will be the warm side of the storm. And you know, my good friend Tom LeMaine, meteorologist in Philly, always used to say, storms to the west of us never get the best of us. Not as far as snow is concerned, but the flooding is going to be serious, and we're already seeing some ponding on the roads.
Yeah, so right now, if you're kind of looking out your window, a little bit of a lull in some areas, especially as you move into South Jersey and Delaware, but we haven't even really scratched the surface yet. I mean, we're talking about this kind of being an appetizer, if you will, for the main course moving in later on this afternoon into this evening. But what's interesting as we take a look at those temperatures, it started this morning in the 30s, 40s right now, upper 40s, and then low 50s by 6 o'clock. Climbing to near 60 degrees, probably in the low to mid 60s, even the Delaware beaches and down the shore tonight.
Yeah, and then we have the front coming through, and that front is going to give us a chance of strong storms and gusting winds during the latter part of the evening. But look at these winds. Lancaster's already gusting to 43 miles an hour. That's a tropical storm force gust. The same in Allentown at 41, Dover 39. So these winds are just going to continue to increase. And we're talking about a wind advisory inland, and obviously we have the flood watch, and we'll see 2 to 3 inches of rain, windswept rain, locally 4 inches. And the problem with this, and Scott, we've talked about this in the summer, in the fall, and heading into the late fall, every time this has happened, it's everywhere. It's not just like it's one county, it's the entire area. So you have all the snow melt that's up in the Poconos, Lehigh Valley, then you have all the heavy rain, and we've had so many storms. December, we had 8 inches of rain. So it was about 5 inches above normal. So it's really saturated out there. Yeah,
so there's really nowhere for that water to go, but ponding on the roadways as well as causing problems with those creeks and streams. We saw some problems just a few weeks ago with the last storm system that brought us the rainfall. So this is kind of adding insult to injury with this wet pattern. Snowless winter drought. The drought continues. It's probably like what, 700 and maybe 10 days now.
At least we're close
since
to the
we've
record.
seen 1 inch of snow in Philadelphia. So that streak continues with just more rain.
Yeah, and here we go again. I mean, one storm after another. So as we look at the flood watch, we talked about how that's going to be for our streams and our creeks and obviously road flooding as well. And this is what it's going to look like by about 5 o'clock. Some heavier waves of rain moving in. This model is indicating a little bit of a lull to the south and east after that. So we'll see if that's actually what comes through. These are guidance, not gospel. So we'll keep an eye on that.
And look at that line that kind of sets up after about 8, 9 o'clock off to the west. But look at the intensity. We're talking the orange, the reds, the yellows. Those could be rainfall rates, maybe 2 inches per hour. So that's going to be problematic for some locations, especially tonight if you're headed out third shift. Just be mindful, use caution out there on the roadways. Whatever the speed limit is, definitely drive below that. And of course, Watch out for the ponding on the roads. Hydroplaning will be easy, unfortunately, with conditions expected this evening.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about that because we talk about already we're seeing, I was on the Admiral Wilson Boulevard, they were starting to put up some cones anticipating high tide with the Cooper River, the rain getting heavy during the rush, and it happens like that. We talk about flash flooding, turn around, don't drown, but it can happen very quickly when these downpours are moving in and there's nowhere for the water to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why we always say that. I know you hear it often, but it only takes, get this, a foot of swiftly moving water to pick your vehicle up.
That's
so,
amazing.
I mean, if you're in doubt, just don't even deal with it. Just turn around, don't drown. That's why we say what we say. But, I mean, just find a different route. If you don't have to be out this evening in the dark driving in these conditions, just stay at home and keep it a Fox local.
Yeah, I mean, as far as getting out, you'll be able to get out tomorrow morning. It's not going to be a problem. Visibility already reduced in the Poconos down to 0.3 of a mile, and we're going to watch these numbers go down, obviously, with the heavy rain and the wind. So here's a look at the evening commute. Ponding on the roads, the rain's going to come in heavy during that evening rush. The winds will be gusting to 40, maybe even 45 miles an hour by that time, and reduce visibility as well. So this is going to be a big problem for the evening commute. And Scott, these winds are really something. I mean, this storm, not being a nor'easter, a textbook nor'easter, not being a tropical system, are kind of unusual. We see some strong storms, but this one coming up to the west, bringing in these southerly winds. We're talking gusts to 65 miles an hour, South Jersey and Delaware, interior up to 50 miles an hour. And we could be talking about power outages, tree limbs down. The ground is so saturated, so don't be surprised, right, if you have a dead tree that you don't even know about comes tumbling down, because you have hours, at least 6 hours, of potential tropical storm force gusts.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about yesterday. There's really just nowhere for the water to go. It's waterlogged, and you have some of these trees that probably, have been dead for years, decaying, and now it's just going to take just some of these tropical storm force wind gusts to maybe knock them down on the side of the road. So that's something that you have to be aware of as well. Not just the ponding on the roads, but the potential for some trees that may be leaning or hanging over some of the roadways to just go ahead and give out with the wind this afternoon.
And that's actually another good reason to stay off the roads, because it's going to be mainly while it's dark, and that's when the heaviest rain and the strongest winds are going to be happening after dark. So we get through the wind, we get through the rain, we talked about the power outage potential, and we're going to keep an eye on this through the night because it could be a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we're talking about scattered power outages pretty much across the area. So now's the time to charge your cell phones. Think about that. Have some batteries handy. Know where those batteries are. What else? Tips. Make sure that your sump pumps are working in your basements. Just be mindful of that. If you live in an area that typically floods, or your basement has flooded before because of creeks and streams, they could be compromised with this storm system. That's how serious this potentially could be.
Yeah, we got a lot going on here. We have to talk about the traffic. Our traffic expert, Jackie Jewell, is going to be in a couple minutes. We're going to take a quick break. She's going to tell us about the problems potentially for the bridges with wind restrictions.
Looking at some of the roads and some of the cameras that we have across the area, conditions have already begun to deteriorate, and we were talking about the poor drainage areas as well. Make sure if you have a drain in your area that it's not clogged with leaves, so because that can cause problems.
Yeah, it's all part of the puzzle. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be back in 2 minutes with Jackie, and she will cover the roads and keep us safe this evening and through the day tomorrow. We'll be right back.
So you're going to walk over here and do you need something, or you have a clicker, or how does that work?
She doesn't. She's going to have to walk over.
All right, we are back, and of course, just getting everything together here because a lot is happening with this storm system. We have Jackie Jewell with us as well, and she's going to talk a little bit about some of the roadways. We were asking if she needed a clicker to kind of go through some of the areas that are looking at some problems.
So first, let's talk about the roads, the ponding on the roads. We know the heavy rain is going to come in later, and we always have usual suspects. So what are we looking at right now?
Of course, Kathy, is exactly what you said. It's a usual suspect. So this is actually Route 130, Brooklawn Circle. This is over the bridge in Jersey. And believe it or not, moments ago, you see this under that bridge right there. There's a vehicle. It's kind of blurry, but it's stuck in that, you know, high ponding area right there.
Is that water?
Oh, wow.
Yep, it's water right there underneath the bridge. Yep.
Okay.
Obviously, that is a usual for everybody. Even if it's light rain, all the locals know not to go under that bridge because it constantly weighs in water.
Yeah, right by the diner. We were talking about this last night.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's closed. You know, that's our usual suspect right there. And of course, we have a minivan that's stuck in that ponding zone area right there. I did hear that they were unharmed, uninjured. They were able to get out, but that car is not going to be retrieved for a little bit.
And let's talk about that as you bring us through the area. Water rescue is definitely a possibility this evening as the rain gets even heavier and we have more problem low-lying areas where there's a lot of concrete, like in the city, and the water piles up.
Yeah. So still in Jersey, this is Belmar area. This is Route 42 at I-295. You can see, you know, heading southbound that the traffic is kind of just backing up a little bit, but this tends to get just puddled patches in both directions heading towards the Walt Whitman Bridge. Speaking of bridges, I just got off the phone with Delaware Authority, and there isn't any speed restrictions yet, but he did say that they were pretty much expecting tonight that it would happen, that they would reduce the speeds by 10 miles first and then 20 miles per hour later on if the wind, picked up throughout the night.
Did they give you any indication of what the thresholds are? Is it 40 miles an hour, winds 50 miles an hour, or is it just they're playing it by ear?
They're playing it by ear. Obviously, when the wind, picks up, they'll go down more as it goes along. But I mean, we saw earlier. I don't even know if we still have our Ben Franklin Bridge camera up. Let's see. Okay, they did turn it back. You guys can see that the city skyline is pretty much blocked out almost. Yeah. It's hazy. It's glossy on those roadways going up and over the bridge. But again, there is no speed restrictions right now. Clearly, people are taking their time, which is great. They're heeding our warnings, so that's good. Okay, this is Route 202 by 29. This is Chester County. Okay. Earlier, as I was heading into work, I did see a few areas that were completely shut down and overflowed. Like, there's a street road. So Street Road in Chester Springs was closed. This over here on 202 tends to get pondy, like right where Route 29 and the Malvern exit is at. Okay. Definitely all the small roads in Malvern. And this is also, you guys, where that collapse happened. Where that collapse happened. Yeah. So yeah, this whole area right here, it's like I said, they just finished it. It's not leveled out as well. So there's some concern that that could be an issue later on tonight, especially when the water starts getting thicker and thicker as that rain goes along.
Okay. Now, we also talked about, well, I know, tell us where you are here, but we also talked earlier about the Schuylkill. Yes. And you're showing me Kelly Drive, I think.
You're like reading my mind.
That's a good thing. Okay.
This is the Schuylkill. This is the Conshohocken Curve. This is where it definitely typically gets ponded. Over the years, we've seen, water just rise up to the top of the Schuylkill right here. So yes, as you said, it's the Schuylkill River that kind of overflows and goes into the Schuylkill. That's I-76 and just slows people down. People actually were driving pretty carefully when I was coming in this morning. It wasn't as bad yet, obviously, because the rain isn't as heavy yet, but it was not a safe drive. It was not very fun to do.
And everybody seems like they're booking right along, which not here.
Yeah. And this is also the Schuylkill, and this is what you're talking about, Kathy. So right behind you can see the Schuylkill River, and then to like the far back of that, let's see if I can move down the camera a little bit. That is, if you guys can see my arrow, that is Kelly Drive right there.
Okay.
And that's where Drew Anderson was earlier, and he was talking about how it started, you know, picking up some ponding in that area as well.
Yeah, so the water's already begun to rise across the area.
Yeah.
And typically we were talking about the lag time. So first it's usually the creeks, the streams, and those tributaries. And then we're talking about the river, seeing those crests probably tomorrow morning in most locations.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, on my drive in, and I was heading east towards the city, and if you guys can see that, the westbound direction, people were slowing down because there was water already on the side of the road. So I saw one person kind of be stalled, have their hazard lights on, their blinker lights on. So I know that was an issue. Lower Marion already is telling people that they have some hazardous roadways, and if you can't see what's, you know, if the water is not clear enough and you can't see what's there, they always tell you just don't even bother going in because there could be debris, there could be mud, there could be,
you can't see it, and that's the scary part because we're going into the nighttime hours and it's going to be even harder to see.
Exactly. And then look at all this.
Wow.
That is the Vine Street Expressway. Right here is the Schuylkill.
Yep.
Back that way is 30th Street Station. Heading this way is towards Spring Garden. I mean, people are leaving early trying to get home. I left early to try to get here because I didn't want to get stuck.
And the camera's starting to shake too.
And
so
the camera's starting to shake, because the wind is just picking up. So that's a problem. I know there's a lot of after-school activities that are already shut down. My son's school, they don't have anything past 5 p.m.
Yeah. Because everybody knows that the heavy stuff's coming in 5, 6.
Yeah.
Okay, 95 in Cottman.
95 in Cottman. You guys know that this has been an issue roadway for so long. Obviously, they're not doing construction right now. Let me see if I can make this live. Okay, here we go. So it skits in because the rain that's blocking the view. It's not very clear, right? So there, luckily there's no construction happening right now, but this is going to be majorly back up during the afternoon drive, the evening drive.
So, I mean, today was kind of like one of those days if you could work from home, if you could still work from home,
if you could
work from home this evening because, definitely have your dinner in the house today.
Yeah, bring your dinner?
Don't go out to the restaurant. I have some snacks. I wouldn't call it dinner, but
I brought my dinner. I brought a whole chicken. I'll share it with you.
Wait, hold on. You brought chicken in the rain? We're going to fall asleep.
I know. It's not turkey. So, Jackie, what do you think? Advice for anyone that has to go out tonight? Obviously, make it earlier rather than later, but what else?
I mean, put those hazard lights on, honestly, if you're too scared, if you feel like you need to go slower than usual, just to signal to the person ahead of you. Even if it's daylight, especially for tomorrow, if you guys are driving for tomorrow, put on your beams. Put on your beams in your front headlights because that's going to alert to people that, you know, you're on the opposite side of the road or you're next to them or whatever. Because even in the daylight, especially with rain like this, it's hazy. It's hard to see. I had issues driving around today and it's daylight. So I immediately put them on. Windshield wipers is always a go. Defrosters so you can see because it is cold outside, so you just want to make sure that that cold isn't mixing in with the condensation on your windshield so that you have a hard time seeing because it gets cloudy. Slow down, drive to the side, and if it's ponding on the side, drive to the middle because you don't want to slip and slide down those slopes and get stuck in that mud, and it's scary because that's how you can drown. Especially with the situations in Bucks County, and Ben Salem already issued a flooding advisory warning with all their roadways.
Yes, we had a couple summers ago that was awful.
So, better to be safe than sorry. So once again, if you don't have to be out this afternoon and evening, just hunker down. Stay at home, watch us, and of course, we'll keep you posted with everything that's changing and evolving for your Tuesday evening.
Thank you so much, Jackie.
Yeah, of course, you guys.
We'll be back. We're
going
to take a quick break, and then we'll have a few minutes left. If anything changes, let us know. We'll get it in before the end of the show. Okay, so we'll be back in 2 minutes to wrap up and talk about the river and creek and stream issues. We'll see you. And welcome back. I'm meteorologist Kathy Orr, and this is my friend and colleague Scott Williams.
Yep.
You are watching Fox Weather Philly. And boy, we have so much to talk about. We have about 5 more minutes on this show, and then we'll see you again during Bill Anderson's show between the 4:30 and 5 o'clock hour, and then on Fox 29 News beginning at 5 and, of course, at 6. But, Scott, we have to talk about the rivers and the streams. We're not expecting significant flooding, but at least minor to moderate, and that's going to create some problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we haven't even seen the heaviest of the precipitation move into the Delaware Valley just yet, but that will come later on this evening. So as we focus a little bit across the area, keeping tabs on some of the rainfall still off to the south and west of us, look at that big comma shape. That is showing you that this storm system has a lot of wind energy. So not only are we dealing with the flood threat, but also we're talking about a damaging wind gust. So the Delaware River at Burlington, moderate flooding is expected by, say, 1 a.m. on Wednesday. A crest, look at that, 11 feet. Currently around 7 feet. Flood stage is 9.3, so that is going to exceed the typical flood stage category by about 2 feet. So moderate flooding expected there. Moderate flooding is expected along the Delaware River there at Washington Street, Perkiomen Creek at Graterford, looking at a crest of 13 feet by 7 a.m. on Wednesday. Flood stage is at 11 feet, so 2 feet above that. So if you live in some of those areas, Perkiomen Creek around Graterford that typically flood, prepare for some moderate flooding. Neshaminy Creek at Langhorne, flood stage is at 9 feet. Look at that expected crest tomorrow morning. 12.6 feet, so over 12.5-foot crest. Moderate flooding expected along Neshaminy Creek at Langhorne as well. Some other locations that we're keeping tabs on, of course, the Brandywine Creek at Chadsford. That one floods all the time, and we're looking at flood stage being typically 9 feet, looking at a crest tomorrow morning close to 11 feet. Around the Brandywine Creek at Chad's Ford. So just keep that in mind. So we always say this. You're going to hear this a lot tonight into your Wednesday. Turn around, don't drown. We were talking about how just a foot of water can knock a vehicle away, and there that is. But 6 inches of water moving can knock you off of your feet. So don't walk through flood waters the same way you wouldn't drive through flood water. So just don't experiment. Just turn around, find a different road. Don't try and be in a hurry thinking that, if I can just make it through, I can get to my destination. Just say if I can just turn around and find a different way to go or just go home, then, that can potentially save your life and save other lives. It's just not worth the risk.
No, not worth it at all. And Jackie already showed us some folks already stranded in under overpasses because of just the concrete and the poor drainage. So we're already seeing poor drainage flooding.
Yeah, and high water rescues, they put, you're in danger and they put other folks in danger as well.
The rescuers are in danger.
Yeah, so
right?
I mean, it's just like that decision that you make, just turn around, don't drown.
Yeah, so we are going to be watching this, obviously, over the next several hours. Scott and I will be back on Fox Local, as I mentioned, at 4:30. Our Bill Anderson is going to be live in just a few minutes. And, of course, we have team coverage everywhere. This is a huge weather day. Even though it's not snow, this flooding concern is real. It's significant. And we just want to make sure we keep everybody safe as we head into the overnight with the heavy rain and then the flooding that continues through the day tomorrow. As you saw, many of those rivers and streams cresting tomorrow morning and some along the Schuylkill cresting tomorrow afternoon. So the flooding remains long after the rain is gone, and that's going to go right through the day tomorrow.
We got theme music and whatnot now. This is all about evolution and advancement and technology.